This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It doesn't matter what inning, it doesn't matter what the score is. This Brewers team continues time in and time and again to get the job done, and Issac Collins sends this team off with a walk-off solo shot to right field, and the Brewers come from behind and beat the New York Mets for their 9th straight win of the season. This one by a final score of 7-6. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Brewers Locked On Brewers POSTCAST show. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Brandon_Snide, and follow all of my work over at WTMJ.com, where we cover all of our Wisconsin sports teams. As always, thank you for making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. Remember, wherever you get audio podcasts, you can get this program at wherever you get them for free. We are available. Just go to the search bar, type in Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button, do the same on YouTube as well. Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, a bunch of terrific apps as well. Lots to get to in this game. A roller coaster series capped off by a roller coaster game this afternoon at American Family Field. A come from behind 7-6 win, 73-44 now on the season are our Brewers, and they do it once again in a different way. Every single game this series, they have done it in a different way. Friday, we saw the walk-off assist from Blake Perkins. We saw the come from behind in the 8th inning last night on Saturday evening, and Trevor McGill holding it down in both of those games. And today, the walk-off home run off of the bat of Issac Collins, who just won Rookie of the Month in July, continues to be one of the best players, not even best fielders or hitters, and best all-around players that this Brewers team has had in the second half of the season. He continues to come up clutch. Let's talk about Quinn Priester's game throughout the course of the show. Obviously, the Brewers, as we have mentioned, you can probably tell by my voice, a little excited, a little yelling in the Snide household after that ball left the bat of Issac Collins. We'll talk about that particular moment in the game, the turning point, and the player of the game. And I don't think many people are going to argue today who the player of the game, although there's three names that I have circled on my list right here for player of the game. But I don't think we're going to disagree on who the player of the game is. And then obviously the win streak continues to stay alive. We'll talk about that. And as always, you guys know the deal. This is the voice, the show for the fans. Your voice are all important and all vital on this program. I want to hear from you, your thoughts, your questions, your opinions, and of course, a 7-6 come from behind win today. I want to hear your celebrations on the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST. Let's quickly get into the scoring summary today, brought to you by Game Day Hue and FanDuel. And it starts first inning for Quinn Priester, who got the start for the Brewers today. And we had seen some really, really good things from Quinn Priester. And just one of those days early on for Quinn. And it was right away kind of in that first at bat, really, where he had Lindor down 0-2. He would eventually hit Lindor with a pitch, put him on first base. Juan Soto would single him in. That would give the Mets a 1-0 lead. Another Jeff McNeil single in that first would give the Mets a 2-0 lead. Then in the second inning, Brett Beatty with a home run would give the Mets a 3-0 advantage. A single in the third and a solo home run in the fourth inning would give the Mets in the fourth inning, ladies and gentlemen, a 5-0 advantage. 5-0. Most teams at that point, when you have won 8 in a row, you have won the series was already clinched. The Brewers winning Friday, the Brewers winning Saturday. They clinched the series. You're cruising along, 5.5 games now up on the Chicago Cubs in the National League Central, but you're cruising along. Most teams would probably kind of chalk it up as it just being one of those days. However, most teams are still chasing 70 wins. This Brewers team has 73 now on the year. Most teams are not this Brewers team as they continue to go on historic paces. In the fourth inning, William Contreras finally getting the Brewers on the board with a solo 374-foot shot to left field. Then Joey O. I put it on X. I think it was Friday night. Maybe it was last night. I think it was last night. It might have been both nights. And he comes up today with another big hit, and we'll talk later on in the 8th inning about Joey Ortiz. But he comes up with a single to left field that would score a couple of runs. The Brewers now looking at a 5-3 hole. So a much more doable deficit currently for this team in that inning. But then you go to the fifth, a Pete Alonso double that just squeezed on the right field line, kind of a cue shot off the end of the bat for Pete Alonso. That would score Juan Soto. So the Brewers back to a 3-run deficit in the fifth. But then William Contreras once again, and I newsflash, a little spoiler alert, he's probably going to be one of those names we talk about as player of the game because he homered again, a 2-run shot in the fifth inning to get this team within 1 run, a 6-5 deficit. And then we would have nothing in the sixth, nothing out of the seventh for either one of these teams. The Brewers would have a clean top of the eighth, and that brings us to the bottom half of the eighth inning in your turning point in a 7-6 Brewers win.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Bryce Terrain not getting the start this afternoon over at American Family Field. However, he would get the appearance to lead things off in the eighth inning for this team with a leadoff walk. That would be followed up later on by a Danny Jansen single to left field. Terrain would then move to second. So you had runners on first and second with 2 outs. Joey Ortiz, man, I just clutch is absolutely clutch. The defense speaks for itself today, really all weekend, really all season, but certainly over this 9-game win streak, the defense from Joey Ortiz has been absolutely lights out today. This weekend, the offense for Joey O has been fantastic. A roper to first base over to Pete Alonso couldn't handle it. That would score Bryce Terrain. Danny Jansen would then move to second base, and that would even things up in the eighth inning. The Brewers would hold it down in the top of the ninth, and Issac Collins walking it off, a solo shot to right field, 363 feet. The pop of the crowd gives me goosebumps when I sit here and talk about what I just witnessed with my 2 own eyes, with this team down 5-0 in the fourth inning, and nothing really going offensively against Sean Manaea, who got the start for New York. And the Brewers just continued chipping away here and there, just not having easy outs, continuing to stay alive, battling at every at-bat. And when the iron was hot, they struck, and it was fantastic this evening. A handful of players should be in discussion for the player of the game. So let's get into it on your player of the game and a 7-6 Brewers win.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
3 names that I have written down on my list. I'm going to start with the honorable mention today. And I know this is going to sound a little bit of I'm cheating a little bit, and I apologize if you feel that way. But for me, this Brewers team wouldn't be in the position that they were in the eighth inning, certainly in the ninth inning, without the job that DL Hall did this afternoon in relief of Quinn Priester, who got the start for the Brewers. Again, we talked about it. Not a great start. 4 1/3 innings pitched for Quinn, 6 earned runs. Unlike the last 12 starts we've seen from Quinn, and that's okay. That's going to happen from time to time. So that's okay for Quinn. Honorable mention tonight is DL Hall. 3 2 scoreless innings pitched in relief for Quinn Priester, holding it down. He got the first 0 of the game for this team, shutting down the Mets in the 6th inning. That was the first time that the Mets didn't play to run, was in that 6th inning. And part of that, most of that, all of that, was quite frankly the job that DL Hall did. Honorable mention number 2 is William Contreras. This team wouldn't have been in this position for this game without what William Contreras did, offensively speaking. And he is starting to really, really, really swing at hot bat. Really, he has been for almost a month now. But William Contreras, 2 home runs in this game this afternoon, 3 for 4 this evening, 3 runs batted in. The Brewers would simply not be in the game in the bottom half of the 9th inning without the job that Wild Bill did for this team, and he had 2 home runs. So he's going to get a mention. But the player of the game, if you walk off a game, I'm sorry, you're the player of the game against one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, who hasn't given up a run since June, and Edwin Diaz for the New York Mets. The 3rd, 4th, 5th, maybe 5th pitch of the at-bat, 363 feet out to right field was Issac Collins, walking it off, helping secure the Brewers' 9th win in a row, 29 games over 500, and they are not slowing down. They do not ever, they're never out of any game. They are never out of any game, and it's because of the names that we just rattled off for who you could be your potential players of the game. DL Hall, Quinn Priester. First off, Quinn Priester, not the greatest start from Quinn. He'll tell you that. Anybody will tell you that. It's not a knock on him. 4 1/3 inning pitch and six earned runs crossing the plate. But to have DL Hall, to have the ability to have a guy come out of the bullpen and throw 3 2/3 of scoreless ball and keep your defense in this game and allow your offense to buy you some time, allow another name that we had mentioned in William Contreras to have a couple of home runs to kind of get you back into the game. And then having Joey Ortiz having a clutch hit in the 8th inning, allowing that game to be tied going into the 9th inning, having Nick Mears shut down the top of the 9th inning today. Remember, Brewers did not use high leverage guys up until that 9th inning with Nick Mears. They did not use Abner Uribe tonight. They did not use Trevor McGill. They used 3 pitchers today. The Milwaukee Brewers used 3 pitchers today in a 7-6 win where your starting pitcher went 4 1/3 and you used 3 pitchers after he gave up 6 total innings. How many teams can do that? 1. And you saw it today at American Family Field. DL Hall coming in, 3 2/3 innings pitched, shutting him down. Nick Mears gets the win this afternoon because he held down the 9th inning. And then Issac Collins, who absolutely nobody, including you and I, had on our bingo card to come up and be one of the best impactful players this team has seen. 3 for 5 today for Issac Collins. His batting average just below 300, all the way up now to 295 for Issac Collins. Needs to be at everybody's top of the list for NL Rookie of the Year. He has been absolutely everything and tons more for this Brewers team. At the plate, on the base paths, and certainly out there in left field for the Brewers. Also keep in mind, the Brewers won a game today without starting Sal Frelick, without starting Bryce Terrain, and without playing at all Christian Yelich. How many teams, and keep in mind, Jackson Chourio also not in the lineup. How many teams are winning games with their 4 best players not participating in a game? 1. You saw it today, once again, at American Family Field. A fantastic win today for this team. I'm telling you, something special is happening. If it's the angel of Bob Uecker shining down on after a night where Milwaukee saw tons of flooding, and again, thoughts and prayers go out to everybody that were impacted by the torrential, historically, bad rainfall on Saturday evening into early Sunday morning. This team rewards this city and the resilience of this fan base with a 7-6 walk-off win off of the bat of Issac Collins, sweeping the New York Mets at American Family Field and winning their 9th win in a row. 29 games over 500. Simply terrific. 12 wins in their last 13 games. And I know there's a ton of you lined up, a ton of you with lots of reaction. If we got to go late and we got to go extra time on this program today, we are going to let it all out. We are going to celebrate an Issac Collins walk-off win, a come-from-behind win for the Brewers, fueled by William Contreras, his 6th career multi-home run game. So a great game from Wild Bill, a great game, as we had mentioned, from DL Hall. I want to hear from you. Your thoughts, your reactions, all welcome down the program coming up after this. Today's Locked On Brewers postcast is brought to you by our wonderful partners over at Game Day Hue. And so if you're on the live stream, is this hat that I'm wearing? And for Brewers fans like me, this one is hitting the mark. Game Day Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and every college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the golf course, or anywhere in between. And it's not just hats, guys. Check this out. Got the split shade glove made for the golf course, or the perfect gift for the fan who simply has everything. And right now you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at Game Day Hue. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals. So right now is the time for you to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. Once again, that's Game Day Hue, code MLB15. Today's Locked On Brewers postcast, the victory postcast, brought to you by our wonderful partners, over at FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, right now is the moment for you. If you're going to take a flyer, I'm a Packer fan. Maybe I'm looking at Jordan Love for MVP. Maybe a Packers NFC North division champs. We'll see what happens in a tough division. Or you can parlay your division winner. Dark horses. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is only one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. A walk-off Issac Collins 363-foot shot to right field sends Edwin Diaz, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor home, sweeping the Mets over at American Family Field. It was simply gorgeous. We talked about so many factors of this game for this team to even get into the position that they were in. It really was a team effort. This team is not out of any game. They're just simply not. We talked about a rough start for Quinn. DL Hall picks him up. A rough start for the offense in general. William Contreras picks everybody up. You get it to the 9th, you get it to the 8th. Joey Ortiz, who always seems to come up with guys in runners in scoring positions and bases loaded and end of game situations where you need a clutch hit. You saw it again from Joey Ortiz. And then Issac Collins. Nick Mears holding it down in the top of the 9th, and then Issac Collins sending everybody home a winner. Let's begin with your thoughts, your reactions on the live stream. If you are tuned in right now, give me your thoughts. Give me your celebrations, your opinions. Please hit that like button for me. We begin with Ben. It's crazy when you're down going to the 8th and you still know you are going to win. It's a special team. That I've run out of adjectives to describe anything from this team other than special. They're just simply incredible for what they're able to do night in and night out. And it's so many different ways. You know, there's been teams where the Brewers, if their starting pitcher doesn't go 7 strong and only gives up a few, that they didn't have a chance. There's been times where you needed 3 or 4 big home runs. And if you weren't able to get it, you weren't going to score runs. That's not the case with this team. Hasn't been the case with this team really since for the last 2 months or so. And it continues to not have to matter at all, because they're able to win in so many different ways. So many different ways. James over on YouTube. Well, the offense bailed out Priester today. Offense picks up the pitchers. Pitchers pick up the offense. This team is so complete. I have never said that before. I really didn't even look at that comment, James. So I didn't want to steal your thunder there, but I feel like I kind of just talked about it there a little bit, because that's simply exactly what I was trying to describe. James describes it in a much better way than I just did. But you're never out of a game, because you can win a game in every single way. There's not a way that this team cannot beat you. They can shut you down. They can play really good defense. Their bullpen, we saw today with DL Hall, can come in and shut things down. You need a big swing of the bat. Andrew Vaughn's done it. Issac Collins clearly has done it. William Contreras today also doing it, 2 home runs. There's just nothing this team cannot do. You start, again, 4 of your best players, maybe 4. Issac Collins needs to be in that conversation. Andrew Vaughn's really been really good too. But what you're able to do when 4 of your best players are not playing, to be able to still beat a team, in a game, it speaks volumes on this team and what they're able to do. Ed over on YouTube, I think they look for ways to make it a little more difficult on them. Maybe they're getting bored, but we'll see. I don't think the Brewers are getting bored of winning. It just incredible. And again, just wasn't their game from the very, very beginning with Quinn Priester, who's been really, really good. You could tell early on, it just simply wasn't their game at the start of it. And we're giving up a lot of home runs, as we had mentioned. Quinn Priester was, and control, a little bit of an issue with Quinn. We saw it at the first at bat with Francisco Lindor. But you're able to hold your head above water, the Brewers, that is. Chip away, tenacious, relentless. Just continue to fight, buy a little time, get some guys in scoring position. Shout out to Bryce Terrain in that 8th inning for coming off the bench, led that inning off with a walk. And it's not like you're doing this against bums out of the bullpen, right? Ryan Helsley was throwing 105 the other night. Edwin Diaz hasn't given up a run in months. Like, these are good. These are really, really good. Some of the best relievers in all of baseball. Really, I know the Mets have struggled, and I know they continue to kind of free fall here. This is still a really good roster. Isaiah over on YouTube. George Webb is sweating bullets. Back to George Webb starting to sweat a little bit, because 3 more wins and free burgers for a good chunk of the state of Wisconsin with hopefully 12 wins in a row and a great opportunity with the Pittsburgh Pirates coming into town. Brian over on YouTube says, Sunday lineup, as Chuck Freeman always says, gets it done. I've given up. I think I may have tweeted it once or twice, maybe within the last month, about the Sunday lineup. I'm done. I'm giving up. I don't even care. I trust you could throw me in that lineup. And I haven't swung a bat in months, maybe years, actually, competitively. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. It's a magical, something truly is special is brewing with this team. Talked to a buddy last night who said, just be careful. Don't get your hopes up. No, I'm done with that. This is historically a great team. Are we talking about the 60-game stretch they're on? They continue to win. They had an 8-game win streak in May, 11-game win streak in July. They're on a 9-game win streak now in August. They continue to apply pressure in the NL Central Division. They could go up 6 games by the end of the evening if the Cubs lose in St. Louis tonight. 30 days ago, the Brewers were down in the division by 4.5 games. There's a chance tonight we could go to bed this evening up 6 games in the National League Central. Nick over on YouTube says, lost for words with this team. I don't know what to say anymore. And I'm usually a man of many words as with the microphone in front of me and doing this for a living, but I simply don't know how to describe it anymore because it's remarkable. I mean, what this team is able to do in every single game, it is a different player. Friday was Blake Perkins. Joey Ortiz tying things up last night. Joey Ortiz tying things up today. Issac Collins walking the game off. I mean, it's amazing. And Jackson Chourio has been out for now a couple of weeks. Guys are stepping into the role that he played, offensively speaking, and getting the job done. Danny Jansen today, backup catcher for the Brewers, 2 for 3. Big hit, especially in that 9th inning to keep that inning going and putting Bryce Terrain in scoring position, allowing for Joey Ortiz to put the ball in play and eventually score and tie the game up. Talk about the bottom of the order. We mentioned Danny Jansen with his 2 for 3. Joey Ortiz, we mentioned his name a bunch now, 2 for 4. Bottom of the order, getting things done. The bottom of the order for this team is productive like that. I'm telling you, it's World Series. I understand hyperbolic. You've won 9 in a row, walk-off home run. My voice is starting to crack. I'm excited, but I can feel the excitement brewing in this team. And the thing about it is it's somebody different. As we have gone over now, it's somebody different every single time. For this team to continue to win ball games in so many different ways, it speaks volumes on first off the character of this team, how Matt Arnold orchestrated this team to build this team, and how manager Pat Murphy continues to pull the right strings. As Greg over on YouTube says, Gutley, relentless team manager of the year should be Pat Murphy once again. I don't know how you look at anybody else in the National League outside of Pat Murphy. I don't know. I don't know. I understand voter fatigue's a real thing and small market Milwaukee, but I don't understand how you don't look at the power of the pancake move to kind of get this team going on the road to start that road trip down there in Washington. And that's just who Pat Murphy is. Telling a story in the pregame that or Golic, I believe, on FS on FanDuel Sports, how he goes all the way back to 2017 doing that, and Brandon Woodruff making a comment to him. So this is who Murph is. But it's amazing that this team continues to just find different ways and different players, and everybody's stepping in and contributing in so many different ways. Even when you're not at your best, if somebody's not at their best, who's ever behind them, whoever's in front of them, maybe a couple innings after them, they come in and they fill that void for this team. Today it was Quinn Priester who just didn't have his stuff. Well, William Contreras has got your back. D.L. Hall's got your back, Quinn. Oh, and Issac Collins definitely has your back with the walk-off home run. Eddie over on YouTube. I've been a fan for 28 years and have never seen this team play like this. And this chemistry is just crazy. They pick each other up when one is down. Absolutely, completely agree. So many Brewers teams that I've not only covered, but been a fan of, that I've watched, and it was like, well, if the meat of the order doesn't get anything going, that's going to be it. Today it was part of the meat of the order. William Contreras had 3 runs batted in. Issac Collins, obviously, in the 2-hole today with a big hit, the walk-off, the biggest hit of the game with a walk-off home run. But the bottom of the order today for this team stepping up. And then we talked about how DL Hall coming in should be an honorable mention for player of the game, because without his 3 and 2 scoreless innings, it might not be a game that the Brewers could be in reach of. And certainly with him coming in and getting the job done, it was. Greg over on YouTube, part of our everydayers. I see Vaughn is getting a t-shirt day. Good for Brewers marketing and corporation supporters. Well, I think he should. Andrew Vaughn, he's second, guys. Since he's been called up on July 7th, Andrew Vaughn is still second in the National League in runs batted in, only behind a guy who's going to be in the NL MVP conversation in Kyle Schwarber for the Philadelphia Phillies. So Andrew Vaughn should get a t-shirt, but you are right. It is very, very quick for a guy to get a t-shirt. William over on YouTube, this was literally a throwaway game and we still won. Let's go, baby. This is literally our year. I don't know how the season's going to end. Obviously, none of us do. We still have, 3 weeks of August to kind of go, and obviously all of September into the playoffs. No team in Major League Baseball has gotten to 70 wins yet. The Brewers are at 73. No team has endured the injuries it feels like this Brewers team has. Certainly at the beginning of the year, we've talked about it at length. Certain parts, it was Freddie Peralta was your only healthy starting pitcher. Nobody thought, come August 10th that Andrew Vaughn, Quinn Priester, Issac Collins would be the key contributors in a 9-game win streak and an 11-game win streak prior to that. Again, when you lose Sal Frelick and you lose Jackson Chourio, I think most of us will agree it's two of probably your best hitters and outfielders defensively. And you don't skip a beat whatsoever. The guy that steps in for the injured Jackson Chourio gets that road trip started in Washington with 3 home runs in that series. Hunter over on YouTube, who would have thought we would knock on that doorstop twice in 1 year? D-Dubs over on YouTube, I was worried when Vaughn grounded into that double play, but sure as a frog pumps his butt when it hops, the team picked him up. This is a complete team effort every night. That was a frustrating moment, certainly. Bryce Train was on third. Forgot who was on first at the moment, but it was a grounded into a double play where the Brewers could have taken the lead, but didn't, obviously, until Issac Collins had that walk-off home run. But again, Andrew Vaughn, we've talked about him and all the runs batted in that he's had since he's come up just over a month ago. But you're still able to win a game, even when you're not able to capitalize in that moment that Andrew Vaughn did not. And you're still able to capitalize and still be able to win against Ryan Helsley and Edwin Diaz. That needs to be talked about more, because those are really good relievers that the New York Mets, including Rogers in that as well in this game, the Brewers were able to put some pressure on him as well. Everydayer Charles, low-key player of the game, DL Hall, stepping up to no-hit 3+ innings. They desperately needed that with low bullpen availability today. And Mears closing out the 9th inning as well. I thought DL Hall, he was the second name I wrote down before the Brewers walked it off. Newsflash, I prepped before the game is actually over. And I had DL Hall as my honorable mention. I had William Contreras. I have a win if the Brewers are going to win or if they're going to lose kind of layout here. And I had William Contreras in there regardless prior to that walkout, if the Brewers won or lost, because William Contreras was fantastic today. 3 for 4, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. But what DL Hall did is allowed this team to stay in this game, to be able to stay within striking distance. And it is. That's why he gets the honorable mention, because this team, without him, they may not be in the position for them to, walk things off. Everydayer Charles over on YouTube saying, great show. My thanks to Charles. My thanks to all of you for always tuning in. I love hearing from you guys. This is a show for you, your voice, your thoughts, your reactions, your celebrations, always welcomed on the program. Glory Days Sports Consulting over on YouTube. When you talk about Brewers organization's current success, don't forget about coaching staffs in the minors like Nashville Sounds manager Rick Sweet. I have seen that a handful of times, and shame on me, guys. Shame on me, because you are absolutely right. And I have failed to mention him when I talk about guys like Chris Hook and Jim Henderson and Matt Arnold and obviously Pat Murphy. And I do kind of forget what the Brewers have going on in Nashville and certainly in Double-A and Single Ball A. What this team has built, it has really been able to stabilize what this team is now, because you have a direct pipeline to Major League Baseball ready guys year in and year out. Our friends over at Locked On Red says thanks for helping us out as they chase the wild card and the Mets. You guys are welcome. The Brewers walking it off, a 7-6 win. Zach over on YouTube, do you buy it? Do you think they're legit? I really hope they haven't peaked too early. There is some fear, and I think that's right. I think you can have a little bit of fear on where this team is. Why I think they're legit, Zach, and why I think that they are a serious contender to compete late into October is because I've said it before. I've said it a few times already in the show. You saw it on display today. There's not a weakness on this baseball team. There's not a weakness whatsoever because of what Matt Arnold had started, because of how Pat Murphy has managed, because of how the players are responding to the voices in the clubhouse, even with injuries, even with really bad injuries. You talk about at the beginning of the year with your starting rotation. You talk about recently with Jackson Churio and Sal Frelick, and I know Sal's been back now, but you're able to still win games by, you need a home run or two, you're going to get it. You need a shutdown 3 2/3, you're going to get it out of the middle of really fewer bullpen. You need a starter to go 7 innings strong on Friday night like Brandon Woodruff did, you're going to get it. You need a defensive assist to walk things off in the bottom of the the top of the 9th inning, you're going to get it in Blake Perkins. And by the way, all of that happened just this weekend. So you're able to win in so many different ways. And that, to your point, Zach, is why I think they are legit, because they're not a one-trick pony or a two-trick pony. They can do everything. And even when that one thing isn't necessarily working, it doesn't matter. They still find a way. Today we saw it. Quinn Priester didn't have it. They had the Sunday lineup in there. No Sal Frelick, no Christian Yelich, no Bryce Terrain, obviously no Jackson Churio. And they walked off the New York Mets 7-6. Who I know the Mets and the Reds, Locked On Reds, are friends of ours, are looking for the Mets to continue to lose. The Mets will probably find their way. They're too talented, I think, to not be there in the NL wildcard or even in the division. I think they're going to get there. I still think the Brewers did not peak too early. I just think this is who they are. I think they're a juggernaut. They're the best team in baseball for a reason, because of all those things I've kind of laid out. Stone Cold over on YouTube. I haven't watched the Brewers this much since the days of Ryan Braun and Craig Counsell. This is the most exciting Brewers team I have ever seen. Again, I'm biased to your point, Stone Cold. I'm biased. I don't know if there's another team even close as fun to watch outside of our Brew Crew. I just don't. 5-0 in the 4th inning. Quinn Priester really not having his stuff today. And you are able to find a way to win. You can really go back to even Saturday. Back-to-back short starts for Brewer starters. Remember, Tobias Myers only went 3 1/3. Today, Quinn Priester went 4 1/3. And you're able to find victories, and you're able to scratch and crawl your way back into games. Your defense shutting things down. Your middle relief, as we saw, and we've talked at lengths. DL Hall coming in and continuing to be such a key piece to this team. And again, you didn't have Trevor McGill available. You didn't have Abner Uribe available. It didn't matter. You only, for Quinn Priester, only go 4 1/3, and you only use 2 more pitchers after him. I'm sorry. Quite frankly, I'm really sorry. There's not many teams throughout Major League Baseball that can do that. There's just not. Joe Deering Golf over on YouTube says this team has so much depth. Myers, Henderson, Gasser, Bowers, Mitchell, Siegler. Yeah, and a few of those guys that you've mentioned there aren't even healthy, right? Bowers is probably obviously the closest one. Henderson, I think he might probably, I wouldn't be shocked if they shut him down at least for the next 30 days or so with that flexor strain. Garrett Mitchell's done for the year. I felt so bad today for Anthony Siegler. A 100-mile-per-hour line drive off his bat in that 8th inning that certainly would have plated 2 runs, and the Brewers maybe not needed a walk-off home run from Issac Collins right to Pete Alonso at first base, and they were able to get out of that. So I felt terrible for Anthony Siegler, but again, he comes in, puts the ball in play, does good things. Gray Man over on YouTube, unbelievable. You really did not see that coming. Wow, my boss's laugh. He is a huge Cubs fan. Yeah, Cubs are, and I have tons of them, unfortunately, that are friends of mine that just cannot believe, they call it luck. And again, I'm done with that. There's times that I thought it was luck too. But if you continue to win 12 out of the last 13 games, setting the record historic mark for a 60-game stretch, 47-13 in your last 60 games. Like, it's not luck anymore. It's really not lucky. Ryan over on YouTube, man, the Crew is so darn fun to watch. Been some really good teams in the past few seasons, but these guys are simply fun. Yeah, it's, again, because of they're never out of it. There's never a game where this team seems to be out of it. I mean, today, being down 5 runs with the, no offense, again, I'm not throwing any shade at anybody in the Brewers lineup today, but with this lineup, the Sunday lineup, down 5-0, most teams that roll out a Sunday lineup and you get down almost halfway through that game at a 5-0 hole, you're not going to do what the Brewers did today. There's not many teams. There might not be any other team outside of the Milwaukee Brewers. Michael having a contradicting point to, I believe, I forgot who else. I think it may have been Zach. Brewers haven't even peaked yet. This is nuts. I don't think they've peaked either because they don't even have Jackson Chourio in the lineup yet, who's been out for a while and continue probably will be out for a while. 1 point over on YouTube saying, I can't remember where I heard it, but luck is where preparation meets execution. When the Brewers continue to do it every single game, every single week, there is no more luck. Kevin over on YouTube, Brewers prove that small ball always wins more games than those home run teams. And we've been a part of that. The Brewers have been a part of that, where they needed that big or two, home run out of their lineup, out of the meat of their order, or they just weren't going to have any chance in this game. And this isn't the year. They're able to do it in so many different ways. A couple more comments before we get things wrapped up on a 7-6 Brewers Locked On Postcast show. James, well, and it isn't like we were just beating lower skilled teams. We have beat some great teams during this stretch. No way that is luck. The Mets are a good team, and I know they're catching a lot of flack with their fan base, and they're not playing good baseball right now. But this is a team, the New York Mets, that is. Remember, went all the way to the NLCS a year ago, caught heat. Obviously, we're part of knocking the Brewers out. This is a team that's probably eventually going to catch a hot streak. They're a streaky team. Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil. It's a super talented lineup. And they're back into their bullpen, as we have saw this weekend, got better. Adding Rogers, adding Helsley. It didn't matter against the Brewers, but technically they still got better. A 7-6 Brewers walk-off win. Thank you, Issac Collins. Thank you, William Contreras, for getting us back in it. Thank you, DL Hall, for holding it down. Thank you, Joey O, for the clutch hit in the 8th inning. And thank you to each and every single one of you who continue to come on this program and make it one of the most watched, most listened Brewers podcasts out there in the world. My thanks to each and every one of you for always making Locked On Brewers part of your day. That'll do it for today's show. Remember, we are free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts: Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon. There are tons of terrific apps. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can get this very program. We're also over on YouTube. Just go to that search bar, type in Locked On Brewers. If you're on the live stream, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. And one last thing on YouTube, hit that notification bell, because we are going back live tomorrow after game 1 between the Brewers and the Pittsburgh Pirates. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Brandon_Snide. And as always, man, does it feel really good with 500 of you on the live stream right now to say this: win, lose, or draw. But when you win 9 in a row, it certainly feels better. But as always, win, lose, or draw, it is always, always, always go Brewers, baby. 9 in a row. Talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. See ya.